The terminal smelled like coffee and jet fuel, the kind of scent that stuck to your clothes. I was 16, clutching my backpack like it was the only thing tethering me to earth. My parents walked ahead with Emily, my older sister by 2 years, who rolled her shiny pink suitcase with the confidence of someone who never had to worry about money. Dad carried her carry-on. Mom adjusted her jacket and fussed with her hair, reminding her how to smile for the cute travel selfies she would take once she boarded. I trailed behind, heart hammering, because this was supposed to be my trip too. We'd planned it for months, our first family vacation abroad. I'd even saved a little money from babysitting to buy myself a passport wallet. I thought for once I mattered. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. But at the check-in counter, everything cracked. The agent typed on her computer and frowned. "Sir, it seems there are only 3 confirmed tickets here, not 4. I blinked, confused. Mom clutched her pearls. "That can't be right. We booked months ago." The agent shook her head. "Only 3 seats are paid in full. 1 was never completed." I looked at my parents, my chest tightening. "Wait, whose wasn't paid?" Dad didn't even hesitate. He looked right at me, his voice loud enough for everyone in line to hear. "Yours." My mouth fell open. "What? But I thought—" He cut me off with a sneer. "Your sister's ticket was worth the money. Yours wasn't." The world tilted. My ears rang. Emily laughed softly, rolling her eyes. "Come on, Dad. Don't make a scene. She can just stay. She's fine." Mom placed a hand on Emily's shoulder and nodded. "She'll survive. 16's old enough. Stop being dramatic." Tears burned down my face as I stammered, "You can't just leave me here. I don't even have money to get home." Dad leaned down, his breath heavy with coffee and anger. "Figure it out. You always brag you're independent. Prove it." Then he straightened up and handed Emily her boarding pass. "Let's go. Don't miss your flight." And just like that, they walked away. The agent gave me a pitying look, whispering, "Do you have someone to call?" I shook my head, clutching my backpack tighter. My parents and sister disappeared past security, their laughter echoing back. My last glimpse of Emily was her flipping her hair, dragging that glittery suitcase like she was royalty. I sat down on the cold floor of the terminal, pulling my knees to my chest, my backpack digging into my side. People streamed past me, parents guiding kids, friends snapping photos, couples holding hands. Nobody knew that a 16-year-old had just been abandoned by her own family because she wasn't worth the price of a ticket. Hours passed. I watched planes take off, their engines roaring, lights blinking against the night sky. Each one felt like a slap. Another reminder that I wasn't going anywhere, that they had chosen Emily over me without hesitation. I was invisible, disposable. At one point, I caught my reflection in the darkened glass of the terminal window. My face was blotchy from crying, my hoodie wrinkled, my eyes hollow. And behind me, in my imagination, I could still hear Dad's words like a curse. "Your sister's ticket was worth the money. Yours wasn't." I wiped my face, anger hardening under the humiliation. My parents thought they could erase me with a single unpaid ticket. They thought I would just sit there forever, broken, stranded. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. Something sharp lit up inside me, cutting through the despair. If they believed Emily was worth everything and I was worth nothing, then I would show them what it felt like when the nothing they left behind decided to take everything. And that night, at 16 years old, abandoned at an airport, I swore to myself, they would regret leaving me. The terminal emptied slowly that night, one boarding announcement after another until the bright screens showed fewer flights, fewer people, and I was left alone in a hard plastic chair with my backpack under my arms. 16 years old, abandoned in an airport like I was an item left behind on a shelf. I tried to call my parents. No answer. I texted Mom, "Please come back. Please don't leave me here." The bubbles appeared for a second, then vanished. No reply. Minutes later, my phone buzzed. A new group photo popped up on Emily's Instagram. Her boarding gate selfie. She smiled in her expensive jacket, my parents flanking her, all 3 of them flashing peace signs. The caption burned into my eyes. "Family first # Paris bound." Family first, except me. Comments flooded in. Cutest fam ever. Your parents are goals. I wanted to scream at the screen to type the truth. They left me behind because my ticket wasn't worth it. But my fingers shook too much, and I couldn't. Not yet. The next morning, I woke on the terminal floor, stiff and aching. Security guards nudged me awake, telling me I couldn't stay there. With no money for a cab, I had to ride a shuttle back to town, clutching my backpack while businessmen and tourists stared like I was trash. When I finally made it home, the house was quiet. Their trip had begun, and I was left with silence, stale food in the fridge, and a pit in my stomach. 16, alone, invisible. But the silence gave me time to think. They had always favored Emily. New clothes, private lessons, vacations. I was the afterthought, the kid who got hand-me-downs and learned to survive. But this, leaving me at the airport, laughing about how her ticket was worth the money and mine wasn't, that wasn't favoritism, that was cruelty carved into bone. And it made me sharper. I started watching their trip unfold online. Emily posted everything: hotel tours, shopping hauls, wine glasses clinking at fancy restaurants. My parents showed up in her stories too. Dad bragging about business class seats, Mom twirling in boutiques. They didn't hide their joy. They flaunted it, knowing I was at home with nothing. But what they didn't realize was that every video, every post, every smug caption was material, evidence. They thought the internet only worked in their favor. They forgot it could be a weapon. While they lived their dream, I started building mine, quietly. Carefully. I reached out to neighbors for odd jobs, babysitting, mowing lawns, stocking shelves at the corner store. Every dollar went into a secret envelope. Every tired night added fuel to the fire. And while I worked, I planned. I studied their routines. I knew Emily's passwords. She was careless, using the same birthday codes for everything. I knew Mom's hiding spots for cash in the kitchen drawer, Dad's obsession with bragging to his colleagues online. They had taught me nothing except how to pay attention. At night, lying in the empty house, I'd replay Dad's words over and over. Your sister's ticket was worth the money. Yours wasn't. The more I heard them in my head, the more they sharpened into something like steel. Because if I wasn't worth the price of a ticket, then I would make sure the things they loved most, money, image, reputation, were worth nothing when I was done with them. The trip lasted 2 weeks. 2 weeks of silence from them, except for one text from Mom. Don't touch Emily's room. We'll know if you do. That text told me everything. Even from across an ocean, Emily's comfort mattered more than my existence. So I decided, when they came back, the balance of power would be different. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't cry. I would take. And I would take in a way they couldn't replace, in a way they couldn't undo. I didn't know yet exactly how, but the shape of revenge was forming in my mind like a storm cloud, and when they stepped back into this house with their souvenirs and their smug smiles, they wouldn't find the quiet, forgotten kid they left at the airport. They would find the storm they created. I waited. I didn't rush into some childish smash and grab. Kids who burn houses down get arrested, and that wasn't my style. I built. I worked nights, kept my head down, learned how the world paid people who showed up and didn't beg. I learned to flip small things for profit, then bigger things. I learned to read contracts the way Dad only ever pretended to. I saved every cent and kept my anger cold and useful. Years later, I came back. Not as the crying kid on the floor, but in plain clothes with a quiet account and a plan. I watched them from the outside first, which auctions their stuff showed up in when they upgraded, which luxury purchases they bragged about on social media, which charitable plaques had their names on them because they liked the applause. I mapped the things they loved, the old house with the wraparound porch, the car Dad polished every weekend, Mom's charity board with her name in gold, Emily's flawless curated lifestyle online. I learned the markets they used and the blind spots arrogance always leaves. Then I started taking pieces away, legally, deliberately, with no drama. I bought over the unpaid bills they'd ignored until liens began to appear. I bid at estate sales where their extra things ended up because they never tracked what they truly owned. I made anonymous offers for collections people assumed were family heirlooms, kept for the kids. And I paid fair prices, so there was no scandalous theft to investigate, just paperwork that moved ownership. I donated some of it, quietly, to the shelters and youth programs that had once helped me when nobody in my bloodline would. I resold other things to fund scholarships for kids whose parents had left them behind. When the house next door went to auction because of a string of missed payments and a reputation that scared lenders off, I was the one who quietly outbid the neighborhood vultures. Legally, on paper, it was mine. I didn't move in. I put up a small sign. Community center open to those without a ticket. I paid staff to run after-school programs and free classes for kids who needed a quiet place to study. Dad's polished car? It showed up 1 month later at a charity auction I sponsored. Neighbors cheered when the bidding benefited a battered women's shelter. Mom's charity plaque? I arranged for the donor board to be updated with the names of the real people she'd never helped. Emily's curated collection of designer bags reappeared in a marketplace with provenance attached, photos and captions that matched the time-stamped posts where she had mocked me. They had loved attention, a house that said success, applause for their perfect daughter. I took those things in the way people take power back, slowly, legally, and by giving the value to people who needed it more than they ever did. When the neighbors started whispering, when sponsors politely declined Mom's calls, when Emily's followers dwindled because brands didn't want to be attached to a spoiled girl exposed as cruel, they didn't point at me. They pointed at the empty seats at the dinners Mom had once hosted, at the canceled guest lists and the polite clapping that had turned to awkward silence. Their image was what I dismantled. The things were simply the tools. The last time I walked past the house my parents had thought made them untouchable, Dad stood on the porch and stared at the center sign. He opened his mouth as if to speak, and for the first time in my life I didn't flinch. I told him quietly, "You chose who you loved. I chose what to do with what you left behind." He had no words that fit. Mom tried to charm the volunteers, but the memory of that airport floor had become a rumor everyone knew in town. Emily called me selfish. People who mattered called her out for making that cruelty content. They still had each other in a hollow way, but the things that fed their illusion, the house, the trophies of taste, the applause, were gone or repurposed into something useful. I didn't dance on their ruins. I opened the community center doors and watched kids pour in, backpacks heavy, faces alive. One of them pressed a hand into mine and said, "Thank you." It was the single sentence that made every lonely hour worth it. I had taken everything they loved, but I hadn't hoarded it. I'd turned it into a place where no one would be left at a gate because a parent decided their ticket was cheaper than a child. They taught me I wasn't worth the price of a plane seat. I taught them what it feels like to be left with nothing but the truth. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.